His time has passed. There are no more. He is the last dinosaur. Alright, that's enough of that shit. Hello, everybody. It's another commentary, this time of The Last Dinosaur. This one really seems to be a fan favorite for a lot of people. I've had a lot of people say that either this was the first one they saw, or this was when they decided to subscribe, or this was the episode that kind of made a lot of people fans, and it's one of my favorites too. I had a lot of fun going back and revisiting and riffing on this movie. And another thing that really surprised me about this when I first posted this review was how beloved this movie is. I did not expect this movie to have as many fans as it does. I wasn't even really sure if anybody other than me even remembered this movie, but yeah, I had a lot of people say that they liked this movie and they thought I was too hard on it. And I even had one guy say, like, this movie is a classic, and I definitely would not go that far myself, but hey, to each their own, but yeah, this is when I first started this series, a lot of the movies I picked were ones that I first saw when I was a little kid, like Barbarella, the Doug McClure movies, Lost Continent. These were all movies that I either got from the video store or saw on cable, like on Monster Vision or something like that. I have the little tribute to Monster Vision at the beginning there, and now I'm kind of doing newer movies or movies that I haven't seen yet, and I think Richard Boone feeling up this actress here. I think he probably had that written into his contract as part of his payment. Just imagine him going, I want to feel up the redheaded girl. And then the producers having to be like, okay, Mr. Boone, we'll see what we can do. Now here's the script. You learn your lines now. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying earlier, I already say this in front of my Legend of the Dinosaurs video, but yeah, when I was a little kid, I was a huge dinosaur nut. Like, I had just tons of books about dinosaurs, and I would watch anything as long as it had dinosaurs in it. Like, there was even there was a cartoon called I think it was called Denver the Last Dinosaur. I even watched that. Not very much though, just because there was only one dinosaur in it, hence the name, and he didn't fight people. So I kind of like my dinosaurs to be a little scarier. So, and he was too nice. He was kind of like Casper the Friendly Ghost. Definitely not as good as Dino Riders, that's for sure. But another movie that I saw even before this one when I was a little kid that I'd like to do a review on one day is this movie called Dinosaurus. It's a movie from the early 60s, and basically the premise is there's a T-Rex and a Brontosaurus, or I don't know, I guess a Patasaurus, whatever. It was called a Brontosaurus back then. It's a Brontosaurus. But it's a T-Rex and a Brontosaurus that are frozen, and they find them off the coast of this tropical island, and then they thaw out, and then they come back to life, and then they're, the T-Rex is the good dinosaur, and the Brontosaurus, or the T-Rex is the bad dinosaur, sorry, and the Brontosaurus is the good dinosaur. I haven't seen that one in a long time, but I think that'd be a good candidate for a review. Regarding this movie, even though it's flawed as hell, I still don't hate this movie. There are things about this movie that work, but there's also a ton of just goofy stuff that's very, very easy to make fun of and very easy to nitpick. Another thing, I didn't notice this obviously when I was a kid, but one thing is with trying to remember her name, Joan Van Ark, with her character, they at the beginning they try and build her up to be like sort of this feminist character, and I'm a strong, independent woman, and then they do nothing with it. It goes like literally from this point on in the movie, it's her, having to constantly be saved by the male characters, and they're like they even have her like after they've been in the prehistoric land for a while, she's cooking food for him and cleaning for him. Um, One thing I want to mention real quick here is that even though it's not in the actual episode, in Shoma, the guy who does the title illustrations for me, he made a really great title card for this episode. I was only able to use it for the thumbnail because it was made later, but it's one of my favorite things that he's ever done. Like his the Richard Boone he made for that is really awesome. He really captures his essence. So if you're ever on his DeviantArt page, I have a link to his DeviantArt page on my YouTube channel. So I strongly urge you to check that out. Oh, and that pterodactyl is so bad. God, that's even worse than the one from Legend of the Dinosaurs.
Seriously, just saying that makes me feel dirty. And no sooner have they gotten ashore when they hear.
I think my biggest overall problem with this movie is that this one, probably more than any other movie I've done on the show, really suffers from a bad case of tone whiplash. Like I say at the end, that it's too serious to be that much fun, but it's too goofy to be taken seriously. And I actually think that this movie would be more enjoyable if it were goofier, if it just decided to go all out and just be a crazy, goofy monster movie, like like the way Inframan was just a goofy monster movie. That's another one I get a lot of requests for. But with this one, you could really tell that they're trying to make the human storyline to be dramatic and set Mastin up to be sort of the sympathetic guy, and then the dinosaur scenes are just like here the dinosaurs just don't really cut it. These aren't. Most of the dinosaurs, other than the pterodactyl, of course, but most of these aren't. They're not the worst I've seen, but they're definitely not great. Yeah, the independent woman can't take leeches, of course. I hear they cut out a shot where she tries to open a pickle jar, too.
Hey, I guess cave women need something to carry their chapstick in, too. While looking for the T-Rex.
Oh, another thing. Believe me when I say that this movie has the sneakiest T-Rex ever. Like, there's so many scenes in this movie where they'll be in the middle of, like, a dense forest, and then they'll be walking along, and then suddenly someone will just look up and go, huh? And then the T-Rex is right there. Didn't make a single sound. This is even worse than at the end of the first Jurassic Park, where they're in the museum with the Jurassic Park. There you go. Where they're in the museum with the raptors, and then all of a sudden the T-Rex comes in, and no one even noticed it was in the building. Like there's no footprints, nothing, except for when you already see it. Then they add the sound effects. And another thing is that for a guy who's obsessed with hunting and does it all the time, Richard Boone's character is really not a good hunter at all. Like he's just, his gun's jammed. So then his reaction is not to take it with him and just fix it later. No, he's just fuck it, let's just throw it out. Yeah, it's our only, there we go, it's our only weapon here, just screw it. Actually, Buntik, if you could get rid of your spear too, I don't think we're going to be needing that. Yeah, there you go.
Getting rid of their only other weapon, and this manages to get the T-Rex to piss off.
And here we come to the greatest line, not only in the movie, but one of the greatest lines in movie history, I think. Oh, I love that.
Fucking love that line. Give it to me again.
Now, this little skit coming up here where it's me, talking to myself, editing it. I actually thought of this right away. I think I thought it up just after my Barbarella video, and all I had was just, me like stopping and talking to myself in the future, and then saying like, "Hey, you owe me money," and then passing the money through the screen, and that was all I had. And then I wanted to use it for a long time, but I just couldn't figure out where to put it, or a way to fit it in. And then finally I just thought like, okay, I'll I'll ask to show the ding dong line again and then go into it.
For an 8-ton dinosaur, it's really good at
Regarding whether or not I'm going to do a gag like that again, I don't know, just because,
proceeds to take the board.
personally speaking, I'm not a fan of long, drawn-out skits in these types of videos.
Easily
There's a few people who do them well, but for me, I generally just like to sort of stay on point and just talk about the movie and just do the riffs like that. And if I do a skit, I like to keep it short, like the one I just had here at the beginning of the Godzilla versus the Sea Monster video. So for me, you're probably not going to see too many things like that. I'm also not going to do, I'm definitely not going to do any sort of like continuing storylines or anything like that, just for the simple reason that a lot of people, a lot of first-time viewers, a lot of newcomers, they're probably watching these videos out of order. So I kind of think that doing like a continuing story, unless you're like a really invested fan, it's just kind of confusing. And also part of it is that it's extra work because it's easier to just sit on your couch and talk into the camera. So part of it is laziness. I'll admit that. But yeah, so for skits and stuff like that, I try to keep that thing to, when I do them, I try and keep them to a minimum. But having said all that, I might do the talking to myself editing again in the future. So I guess we'll see. That was me giving a Dexter look there. I'm even wearing, I think, another sweater kind of like he does. I get that a lot. Whenever people say who I look like, they always say Michael C. Haller plays Dexter, or the other one I get is Doug McClure, oddly enough. And here's more of Joan being a modern, independent woman. Oh, and another plot point, all of a sudden these two are in love, and again, doesn't go anywhere. They have one kiss, and then I guess that means they're a couple now. I guess that means she decides to leave with this guy instead of Maston, but it's... Oh, there's so many threads that just don't go anywhere.
Okay, I guess they're in love now. Cave Girl comes back to return Frankie.
Regarding the tone for this movie, like I said before about the different elements of it clashing, a big example, I kind of glossed over when the Triceratops burst out of the mountain earlier, but there's a part, like you have the human storyline where they're trying to set up Richard Boone's character as like kind of a tragic figure, and they're trying to be dramatic, and then a Triceratops bursts out the side of a mountain. Like you see what I'm saying here about the tone whiplash? Like I kind of picture the American executives getting handed the special effects footage and just being like, "What? The dinosaurs coming out of what was it doing there? I don't get it. What do you mean? Haven't you seen an episode of Ultraman? Monsters are always bursting up from out of the ground or from volcanoes or something like that. It's not weird." Yeah, and again, it's a little too goofy for the human part. As much as I'm harping on this movie, there are parts of it that work. Like at the end of the movie where Richard Boone, they're starting to leave, and Richard Boone decides to stay, and he's all alone, and he's walking off into the distance. You do feel for the guy. Like there are parts of this movie that really work.
Yet in the time they've been there, they never bothered to build any sort of shelter. After a few months, they probably could have built a fortress with those engineering skills. Well,
I got to address this here. When I complain about how he got the boar back to the lake so quickly, I had a few people in the comments say like, well, what he did was that he chopped down some trees and then rolled it on logs, and that's how he was able to get it back to the lake. Oh, really? One guy chopped down enough trees to roll the multi-ton metal machine up a steep gorge, and apparently had enough time to do this so that the T-Rex never once came back to his lair while he was in the middle of doing this? Really? That's what happened? Yeah, thanks, fellas. That answers everything. I don't know why I thought that was unbelievable.
You know, I'm beginning to think that the guy who decorated the inside of his plane with
This is the part of the commentary where I just shut up and admire my work. Sorry. Oh, I know something I can talk about. Another thing people brought up in some of the comments is that the T-Rex costume was actually reused in a later Japanese movie, or well, actually, let me get this right. It was used in a TV show first. I can't remember the name of the show, but the show was later re-edited into a movie called Attack of the Super Monsters, and that's another one that I've gotten some requests for. I do actually have a copy of that one. And Shoma, again, the guy who does the illustrations for me, he lent me a copy. He lent me a DVD-R of it because I think it's only available on VHS in North America. But I do have a copy of that one now. If you're not familiar with that one, it's basically like a cartoon, like an anime. Well, half of it's anime. The people are anime, and then the monsters are live action, and they're kind of awkwardly spliced together with one another. And then the fact that it was just a bunch of separate TV episodes put together means that the movie's kind of awkwardly put together too. That one would actually be a pretty good candidate. Apparently the T-Rex has no skull. But anyway, Attack of the Super Monsters would probably be a good candidate. I might do that one someday, but it's probably going to be a little while just because right now I have a lot of other things on my plate that I'm working on. Not to give too much away, but for May, I'm going to be doing a couple videos featuring a certain giant Japanese monster who rhymes with Rodzilla, so watch out for those. And I've also got a couple of others I'm working on. No clues for those ones, but yeah. So if I do Attack of the Super Monsters, it's probably going to be a little while. One last thing I guess I can say about this movie is the theme song, even though it's really inappropriate for a dinosaur movie, it's kind of like the soundtrack to Legend of the Dinosaurs, even though it doesn't really fit. Taken by itself, it's not bad. It's pretty good as far as 70s ballads go. It's definitely, like I say, the best one. You don't often hear heartfelt ballads with the word dinosaur in them, so I do got to give it that. So yeah, not much more to say about this one. Like I said, I don't hate this movie, and it's far from the worst movie I've done on this show. Like compared to something like Ape, this is way better than that piece of shit. But yeah, it's even when I was a little kid and loved dinosaurs, there were a lot of movies that I would rather put on. I'd rather watch Land That Time Forgot or just about any Godzilla movie over this one, and it's just a little too uneven to me. But it has its fans, so to each their own. So yeah, there we go. There are going to be more reviews coming. Like I said, I'm going to try and have 2 of them for May. I've actually got another one completely written that I'm going to do after, just because it doesn't have anything to do with that certain Japanese giant monster I was talking about earlier. But that one you should get also pretty quickly after those ones. And that's all for now. So until next time, ding dongs.